so next up, we are going to weave with paper. So I decided to use this paper bag because, well, I had it laying around and it will contrast nicely with my white paper. So I'm just cutting it open flat. So I'm just going to cut down the side, along the bottom, and I'm just going to make it as flat as I can. All right, so now I have this nice big piece. It still has handles on it, so I'm just going to rip those out. They're just going to get in my way. Okay, so once that's done, I'm going to fold it in half. And I'm going to think of a border on the outside of this piece. And I'm going to cut inside that. So I'm cutting from the fold up to the edge. And I'm just going to use that line that's created there by the bag. And you can see if you open it up, you get one strip. So we'll just fold it back, and we're gonna do that all the way down. So you do wanna be careful if you're using a used item, like this paper bag. I had it twisted. So you'll see in a moment, I was struggling. So you can see there's a little bit of a thicker edge there, but it's not a huge problem. You can even get creative with your cutting. Just be aware if you're cutting in the fold that it's going to be mirrored on the other side. So try and keep it straight for your first weaving, and then you can experiment. Okay, so there, I'm done with that. We can consider that our warp, or the long threads. Next, we're going to make our weft, or just some weaving material. So I have this long piece of white paper, so I'm going to cut it down to be slightly longer than my warp. And then you're going to cut it into strips. Now, you can do whatever size you want, and you can do different sizes. For the sake of this tutorial, I kept it pretty uniform. But once you've done it a few times, you can get a better idea of the aesthetic you're looking for. All right, so now we are ready to weave. So the first one, like I said, we're thinking of as a border. And so I'm just going to go with the second one in. And I think this is pretty self-explanatory, but over one, under one, repeat until the end. There we go. Then you want to slide it all the way down. So the second one, you're going to do the opposite of whatever you did for the previous strip. So over, under, alternating with its buddy here. There we go. And then again, slide it all the way down so it's as tight as you can get it. There, pretty standard. So I'm going to do one strip with the same weaving pattern as the one before, just to show you something. So I'm just repeating the over-under structure of the previous strip. And now watch, when I go to beat it down, it can overlap because they're all in the same channels. So to fix that, I can just reverse the pattern on a couple of the warp threads. I chose to do the ends. You could also do this somewhere in the middle if you wanted. And the reason for doing that is because once I slide it down here, you'll see you get a thicker block of the white versus the brown, and you can start to create pictures that way. There's a more complex version of this called Overshot, which I could get into later, but just for now, consider your weaving patterns and the pictures you can make, because when you're weaving in this manner, you have more control over each individual thread. So here I'm just doing a regular over-under just to reset this set of 4. There. I like it. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to show you is a twill pattern, which is under 2, over 2, all the way down. There we go. Now for the second one, you'll notice here I came in 1, so I started on the second strip. Now I'm going to start on the third. So under 2, over 2, all the way down. So the whole pattern is a repeat of 4. So we're just offset by 1 there. And our third one, we're going to start on the 4th. And for the sake of this tutorial, I'm starting on the 3rd and then the 4th, but obviously you have to go back and work out your pattern of 2 under, 2 over. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're gonna start right there. Again, mathematically, if you're a genius, you'll realize that 4 is 2 plus 2. So I'm gonna go back and get that missing 2 set. There we go. Okay, so that's the finished pattern, and you see it just steps up, and it's a cool variation on weaving. There's obviously a lot of different things you can do, but play around with it. And then the ends, because we're dealing with separate strips, you can fold them under, or you can just tape them. That is one of the downfalls of paper weaving. So I also wanted to show you the shopping bag yarn, because this is continuous rather than separate strips. So the thing about that is that you have to bring the entire ball of yarn with you. So you're leaving the end there, and then you're using this whole bundle as your weaving shuttle. A shuttle would normally be an actual strip of wood or a whole device where it unspools your yarn as you go, but I don't have a special paper shuttle, so we're just working with what we have. And you could make it a smaller bundle to make it easier on yourself. I'm clearly just a glutton for punishment here. But once you get it through, you just neaten it up, and then you come back around. So you'll notice here, because it's continuous, you get a fold on the end. And obviously on the end, you definitely want to make sure you alternated over or under. And then in this style, you get a much neater selvage edge, which is just the end of your weaving where the weft comes in and out. All right, so those are a few weaving techniques you can try out on paper. You could also do these with yarn or thread. And that's that.